Fruit soup. I'm going to be going over 10 things that I hate about golf, which just so happens to be my favorite thing. We're going to go over it in 3 sections. Section 1 is going to be course etiquette. Section 2 is going to be course conditions. And then the 3rd section is going to be personal things that I hate. Might not apply to everybody, but they definitely apply to me. And I'm going to save that to the end so I don't bombard you with my own opinions that are, you might not agree with. Going into the etiquette category, number 1, the biggest one, slow pace of play. If you're watching this and you're saying, well, I don't really care about slow pace of play, it's probably you. You are probably the issue on the course. And I'm not talking about taking your time to line up a putt, taking a couple practice swings, things like that. I'm talking about like the egregious problems with slow play. Things like groups of 5, not letting people pass. I was on the course just this last weekend and there was a 5-some ahead of us who would hang out on the green, take their sweet time. It was just to the point where we were waiting on every single shot. And that becomes such a drag on my round and the round with the guys that I'm playing with when we might have to wait 10 to 15 minutes between taking shots. That is not acceptable. And one of the problems I hear all the time is they're on the tee box ahead of you, you get finished off the green. So you have hit your approach shots and putted out while they have yet to get off the next tee box. You go up there and then they hit you with this line everyone's heard. Oh yeah, we're waiting on the group in front of us. Sometimes it can make sense, but they're not necessarily waiting on the group in front of them because the amount of time that they were just given to tee off, you look ahead and you see that the next group is chipping on or putting. So they're just taking their time. If they let you pass through, now I can put pressure from our group on the group ahead and maybe we break through. Slow play, can't stand it. Very next thing, and this kind of ties in to slow play, this is item number 2, people not playing ready golf or preparing to take their putts on the green. So you got 4 guys on the green, everybody's standing around, and everybody watches the ball mark go down, the ball get cleaned, the ball get placed, the line get found, and then the putt taken. And then only after that putt is made by the first player, then does player number 2 even think about setting themselves up. Personally, I want to play well. I'm reading my putt and I'm taking that extra time while someone else is putting or setting up to prepare for my next putt. The only time that it makes sense is if your ball is in the way of their line and it needs to be marked, or if you have the ability to get a read from another player's putt. Does that make sense? Perfect. There's a fly. Gotta love summer, right? Number 3, and this is kind of like nitpicking, but I cannot stand it when the bunker rake is placed towards the tee rather than the backside. My thought is that you should always place the bunker rake on the sides to the left or right of the green because it's somewhat rare that the bunker rake will change the course of the shot by being on the left or right. And what I mean by that is that if you have the bunker rake at the front of the bunker, you are going to possibly prevent the ball from rolling into the bunker. And if I'm in match play and the guy I'm playing against gets saved by that, that's a huge impact. And also being said, if the rake is at the back of the bunker and the ball rolls through the bunker and it has an opportunity to roll out or at least find its way out of the bunker, maybe not even in a good way, or it would roll back in the bunker, that rake at the back of the bunker on a hot burner, it's going to affect the ball, possibly putting it back in the bunker, giving it a bad bounce. It irks me. It's a problem I have. Look at this fly. He keeps coming back. Smells my coffee. Number 4 point is going to be awareness, and awareness is a broad term. It's kind of more like checking the ego, if that makes sense, or being self-aware about the quality of your own game and how safe you are out on the course. I've noticed that the term grow the game gets thrown around a lot, and I believe as many people should be part of the game of golf as we can get. It's a wonderful sport. I want everyone that can enjoy it to enjoy it. But if you are someone who cannot play up to a standard where you are safe on the course, that becomes an issue. Especially in the last few years since COVID, I never really had to walk around the course constantly aware of errant balls coming off of other tee boxes hitting me. And I've noticed, especially this year, I am constantly afraid of random golfers shanking the ball or hook or snap hooking the ball directly at me while I'm in the middle or even the far side of a fairway that's right next to the hole they're on. Things happen, accidents happen. I've known people that get hit, and it's part of the game. You run the risk. But I've just noticed that there has been a change towards people who should be spending time on the driving range going out and just hacking. And I would say at least twice around a ball goes flying in the wrong fairway, pretty darn close to where I'm at. Part 2, conditions. This is kind of less of a gripe and more of just like a do better thing. If I'm gonna spend $15 to $20 or more on half of a cart, we all know it should be pay for the whole cart, but that's not part of this video. If I'm gonna pay for a cart, I want to be able to use it, so cart path only, have the complaints there. I understand for the sake of the conditions, sometimes it's necessary. But the big problem I have is if you're going to put in cart paths, make them smooth. If you can't get asphalt or pavement to not take the fillings out of my mouth when I'm driving, at least do dirt or gravel or some kind of path that is not going to bounce all of my belongings out of the dashboard on the golf cart. Conditions number 2, bunkers. I play at a course here in Washington that it's beautiful. It's got really interesting layout, and 9 out of 10 things on the course are totally acceptable, especially at the price range. However, the one thing that really bothers me is the bunkers. If I hit a ball in a bunker at this specific course, I'm not going to say which course, but at this course, if I hit into the bunker, I will pull the ball out and put it behind the bunker, because the bunker is so full of roots, rocks, gravel. I mean, it's not even sand, and it's so compacted that I don't want to damage my clubs. I'm not a professional golfer. I'm not made of money. So the clubs I pay for, I'm not going to damage them in a situation like that. And it does make it so my round doesn't really count, but I'd much rather forget about having a legit score in the 70s than have to worry about replacing my sand wedge. Number three is, I don't really think it matters. This might be personal, but I think it does have to do with the grounds crew and the greenskeeper, is when they put 3 different sets of tees up next to each other, effectively making, let's say, a par 3 have the exact same yardages regardless of the tees you're playing. I don't care about that from a distance standpoint. I care about that from a tee box conditions standpoint. I often will not tee up my irons when I'm hitting into a par 3. So I really like to look for a nice flat level spot that hasn't been just destroyed. And when you have the forward tees being combined with the tips, or the whites combined with the tips, you're going to have a larger gap of golfers that are just absolutely shoveling earth out of the tee box. So I might have to go onto a sloped or uneven part of the tee box just to get a good lie for the ball. Onto the personals. So take it with a grain of salt. This is things that I think are unique to my game or unique to my situation in life that personally I don't like about the game of golf. Very first one, people that are barbecuing outside their house that live on the golf course. I understand that the goal is keep the ball in the fairway, don't hit the ball out of bounds. If they chose to live on the golf course, that's where they live, they should enjoy that. But if I'm trying to hit a tee shot and you live on a golf course and you're having a party or you're having a barbecue and you're sitting out in your backyard and it's maybe I'm playing a twilight round, I'm fine with you having a good time. But when I go up to my ball in the fairway and all 10 of you stand up and start chirping me, that throws me off. I don't like it. I wish that people that lived on golf courses could understand that I'm not out there to have an audience. I can play with my buddies, and if I wanted an audience, I would try to go live that life. But I'm not trying to have that happen to me. Subject number 2, the cost. The cost associated with the game of golf. Clubs are just way too expensive to buy brand new. Balls are way too expensive. Equipment, way too expensive. Greens fees, cart fees. It adds up so much that the attempt to grow the game or make it accessible is actually more exclusive than it should be. Granted, if you go to a private club and that's what you want to do, good on you. That's my dream and hope someday. But I play public courses. And what I see happening is young people that might work a 9 to 5 and have a couple kids like I do. I have a very hard time getting the equipment, getting the training aids, getting the time on the course, going to the range, and still making it budget friendly. However, there are ways to do it. So the perfect example I would use is one of my friend's bags, which I'm going to put up right here. I'm going to show you some pictures of it. We've pieced together his golf set over the last year or so, and I think he has a really good set for, I think he's a 17 handicap right now. So he's a 17 and he's doing better than bogey golf, and his scores are improving and his confidence is getting better. And in part to having newer clubs. He currently has a Cobra driver that I sold him for between $100 and $200 when it was still pretty new. And then we went to a store that had a used club bin, and for less than $150, he was able to set up his wedges and his 3-wood and hybrid from the bargain bin. His irons, if you look at those, they might look similar, but something might seem a little off about them. He bought those irons on Temu. They are TaylorMade P790 knockoffs. I've hit them a few times. I've seen him hit them. They're good clubs. He paid $250 shipped to get those clubs. P790s are $1,500, and he paid $250 for what I can tell, and I'm a single-digit handicap, so I think I have a somewhat good feel for clubs. They feel right. They feel like a stiff shaft. They feel like a player's distance iron. You can work them. They get good distance. The only thing I could say about them is that they do feel a little heavy, but being a player's distance iron, that's somewhat to be expected. It just goes to show you don't have to spend to get good product. Last but not least, and this is the most personal, I'm just going to call this club diversity against player distance. So I hit the ball farther than the average golfer. My driver is set up at 6 degrees. I have a club head speed north of 130. I'm able to swing pretty hard. And I've actually competed in long drive. So I kind of know a thing or two about hitting the driver pretty far. The problem that I have is even when I'm not trying to roast one, high 300s, and I just want to hit a nice cruiser, if I play a link style course or a nice dry course in the summer, my rollout could be 330 to 350, and that's not me swinging out of my shoes. So what ends up happening is if I'm playing the whites with some buddies or even the blues in certain courses, par 4s are short where I live. Generally speaking, a 330 yard par 4 is typical and average. So if I hit the ball, 305, 310 carry from time to time, just swinging my normal swing, I'm always going to have a chip or a half wedge in. What ends up happening is I end up going with the same 5 or 6 clubs the entire round. I rarely, if ever, get to touch my 3-wood except for par 5s that might not be drivable off the start because of a dogleg situation. My hybrid almost never gets touched. My long irons are almost exclusively for rescue shots. And other than that, my 6, 7, and 8 iron, I may use once or twice an entire round. I'm basically hitting driver, 9 iron, pitching wedge down. On par 3s, if the par 3 isn't over 170 yards, I'm never going to get anything farther than a 8 iron. I can hit an 8 iron almost 180 yards, and I don't have super strong lofted irons. So this is definitely a personal thing that inconveniences me, but I kind of get tired of not having enough variety of selection in my rounds. And then when that time does show up where I do need to hit that 5 iron, I'm not accustomed to that. I don't have the muscle memory. My muscle memory is basically driver, wedge, and it gets pretty old. Last little extra inconvenience I want to talk about. Get yourselves one of these. Doesn't matter how nice it is. And remember that when you fix your divot on the green, you don't pull up on it, you pull in. Don't forget about that. Thanks for watching. Hope you stuck around to the end. And if there's anything that you would like to see or anything that you think I missed that bothers you, throw it in the comments. Would love to hear about it.